No one's claiming to be perfect either. And if they are a liar. Deception. Disgrace. Welcome back to Growing Isn't Pretty. I'm Nyleeta, and today we're going to be talking about how no one can see your worth until you recognize it for yourself, right? You have to see it first, otherwise no one else will recognize it for you. And here's the title: No one will see your worth until you do. How to stop hiding, embrace your true identity, and build confidence in who you are. I don't know about y'all, but I'm actually quite hyped for this one, mainly because there was a time in my life when I absolutely did not see my own self-worth. I did not see the value in myself. I didn't believe that I was deserving of good things, could have good things, and I just didn't feel like I deserved a lot, to be honest. Like respect from others, love, appreciation, good communication. Like I just didn't believe that I deserved many things. And coming out on the other side, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm more than qualified to have this conversation with you guys, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this because it's definitely something that is dear to my heart. So yeah, let's just jump into it because it's what you're here for. Lego. So my first point is you can't expect others to understand the real you if you don't. I actually got this from, I want to say, Marie Forleo, and she was talking about how there was a stage in her life when she was trying her best to understand who she was in like her workforce. When she was building her company, she was trying to like get her team to fully grasp who she was and what she wanted like the vibe of the company to be like, etc., etc. And someone from her team actually came to her and was basically like, we don't understand what it is that you want from us because we don't really understand you. And she was like, excuse me? What do you mean you don't understand who I am? And they were like we don't really get you. And basically the I guess the premises of that whole conversation was, when you don't know who you are, you cannot ever expect people to understand who you are. It's almost like saying to someone, can you guess my favorite color, but you don't even know what it is yourself. So if they just say red and you're like, actually it's not red, I think it's like blue, or I think it's green, I think it's purple, and someone goes red, how are you going to know if red is the right answer or not? You're just gonna have to take a guess, and that's not necessarily fair on the other person because they could be right or they could be wrong, and it's a 50-50 chance. But if you don't even know what the 50-50 odds are yourself, then how on earth are you going to tell them that it's right or it's wrong? Do you know does that make sense? Like, you can't expect people to understand who you are and how you operate as a person when you don't know how you operate as a person, when you don't know who you are. You don't know what your boundaries are. You don't even know how you want people to communicate with you. So basically, I'll give you another example. When I used to work in management, when I would go in to have like one-to-ones with my team when I first meet them, I would always ask the person that I was having a conversation with, how do you like to be managed? And this gives them an opportunity to actually think like, how do I want to be managed? How do I want people to communicate with me? How do I want, this work-life relationship to look? And basically I would give them an opportunity to show me how well they know themselves. Like, how do you want me to speak to you? How do you want me to deliver feedback to you? How do you want me to support you and teach you? Because not everyone learns the same way. So it's like, if they don't know how they want me to communicate with them as their manager, then the way that I would naturally do it might rub them the wrong way. But if you haven't told me how you would like me to communicate with you going forward, then you don't really have much right to get mad. And that doesn't mean that you don't get to implement it down the line. Doesn't mean like 6 months in, if you just figured out that actually I don't like it when she gives me feedback in the moment, I'd rather she gives it to me in the one-to-ones that we have every week. Then 6 months down the line, you can always come back and say, actually, this is how I like to be managed. So the first thing I will always say is do it. Learn who you are. Learn about your likes and your dislikes, what your boundaries are. And that usually comes from when they've been crossed, unfortunately, but they can also come from what your values are. So learn your values. And once you've got a solidified base for who you are as a person, then you can start teaching people around you how to treat you. So learn who you are first. That is the first thing. You can't expect others to understand the real you if you don't know who she is. That is number one. So the second thing is to spend time figuring out what makes you you. So, this feels too low. So the second thing is to figure out what makes you you. Who are you outside of your friendship group? Who are you outside of the family, outside of the things that people have told you that you should be and who you should be and how you should operate? Who are you? What does she look like? And listen, let me tell you something, y'all, okay? Oh, this is a bit too high. So I remember when I was growing up, I used to shape shift. If you've heard me use this word before, there's for a reason, trust me. I used to shape shift. I used to really try my best to fit into every group around me because I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't respect myself. And I was just like, if I can make myself disappear by merging into the masses, then great. And I would try my best to do that. So when I finally started taking a step away from those groups and started to basically spend more time learning about myself, I realized the power in really knowing who you are. Like, and I mean seriously, getting to know who you are will change your life. And I don't just mean like a little bit change your life, I mean like drastically change your life. Because the second that I started to stand on my own 2 feet, the second that I started to give myself grace, give myself understanding, give myself respect and love, was the moment that certain people that shouldn't have been in my life in the first place slowly shedded away. The second that I started to do that, jobs started coming up, opportunities started to show up for me. I started to take a chance on myself. I started a business, I started a podcast, I started doing all these different things that were aligned with what God intended for me. But I had been fighting that beforehand because I didn't see myself. I couldn't recognize who I was outside of the groups. I couldn't recognize how I would operate, or how I would even really what if no one came with me? That was one of the biggest things that I had in my head as well. And that's like my third point. So like, what if no one came with me and I was like an outlier? You know, no one was like, yeah, you're right, like you're doing such a good job. With how could I be okay with people not agreeing with everything that I'm doing? And that was a big part of learning about myself. And I'm still on that journey as well. Like, I still have moments of doubt where I'm like, I'm not too sure. And I've got a few people in my life, specifically like my sister-in-law and my mum, who I go to, who I trust their word, I trust their opinion, and I trust the way that they view me is with respect, with love, and I trust that they have the best intentions for me as well. But I would, outside of that, like if I can't go to them, can I trust my own opinion? Can I trust my own voice? And that for me only comes with figuring out who you are. Like, and I don't know, it's very liberating once you start to get to know yourself more, and once you start to shape yourself as an entire woman. You'll find that where before you had so much doubt and so much negativity around yourself, thoughts wise as well, and even like the words that you would say, the words that I speak about myself have completely changed. The way that I talk to myself has completely changed. My ability to manage what happens in my mind is amazing. Like before, I used to just spiral if I was having a bad day or something, and now I can catch my thoughts very quickly, and that comes with figuring out who you are. So that's the second thing. Spend some time figuring out who you are, what makes you you. The third thing, stop seeking validation from people who can't even validate themselves. I feel like this point talks for itself. Like I don't need to expand on this too much, and I won't. Stop seeking validation. Like that is the point by itself, isn't it? Stop seeking validation from people who can't even validate themselves. You're looking for, you know, the person who's not got their life together to help you get yours together. What's that cliche saying? The blind leading the blind, the blind leading the blind. Like, stop, you know. Now that I think about it, that saying's actually quite rude. Anyway, just like focus on yourself. We already know that external validation is not the best thing to be leaning on. There are certain circumstances where I would say that looking for or leaning on external validation from people that you trust is okay. I don't ever want to be like, never go and look for external validation. Like, I would never encourage it. With that being said, there are always times where, especially when you're starting to build your self-worth, like for me, when I was building up my self-worth, one of the things that I couldn't do was trust my own opinion of myself. And that was because I had such a negative view of who I was as a person that anything that I said was never really nice about myself. So if I took that as gospel, then, you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So I would lean on the validation and the opinion of people that I trusted, like my mum, my brother, my sister, people that would tell me, you know, you are beautiful. And we're not just saying this because we're family. You are beautiful, and you are a kind person, and you are caring, and you are giving, and you are generous with your energy and your time. And I had to trust them more than I trusted my own negative view of myself. So in that instance, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with looking for external validation, because it can help you. It's almost like a hand being reached out, and it's helping pull you out of this negative space. Where I think external validation gets dangerous is when you become reliant on that to exist. So I had a friend a while back who, she had this thing where she would dress up and wear certain outfits to work, and if people didn't compliment her on those outfits, she would get so upset. And I had another friend who, when we went out clubbing, if she didn't get a guy like coming all over her and trying to, you know, champs her up and get her number and if that didn't happen in that night, the night was not good for her. Like, we could tell, like, she wouldn't be dancing, she'd be sitting down. Unless the camera came out, that she'd get up and be like, hey, and then she'd sit back down again. But besides that, she wouldn't move around, she wouldn't be having a great time unless a man spoke to her. So you're seeking something from someone else. It is not a good way to exist. It is not a good way to live, and it's not a good look, boo. Let's just be real. Like, it's not cute. It's not cute. It's not. Ew. Seeking external validation from people, from other people, it's not always a bad thing, depending on the way that you do it. But majority of the time, like 90% of the time, it's not what you want to aspire to be. You know, you don't want to be aspiring to have someone else dictate the way that you live your life and tell you that you're doing a good job. And when, even when you feel like you've done a good job, someone says, no, you didn't do a good job. What does that mean? Like, you just erase the good work that you just did? Is that how it happens? You know, you just did 5 years at uni becoming a fucking dentist, or 7 years at uni becoming a dentist, and then because your parents wanted you to become a doctor, does that mean that being a dentist is a shit thing now? You know what I mean? Like, don't allow other people who don't, especially people who don't have their shit together, to be dictating the way that you should be living your life. To that. Fourth thing is, the world sees what you present. Start owning who you are. I'll say that one more time. The world sees what you present. Start owning who you are. So if you're showing up inauthentically, if you're showing up as, you know, this extroverted, loud, bubbly, crazy person, but it's actually draining the hell out of you, when in reality you are quiet, you are demure, you are gentle, you are a beautiful little butterfly who just wants to be caressed. If you are a calm, spirited, vibey person, but you're out here doing tricks and stuff like that and backflips for the world because you feel like that's how you're supposed to show up, one, they don't know who the fuck the real you is. You're confusing people around you. Like, which one are you really? And two, how does that make you feel? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're presenting yourself as something that you're not. You can only keep that up for a certain amount of time, by the way, unless you're like a psychopath or sociopath. And also, it's just draining. Like, check in with yourself. How do I feel when I present with the way that I present myself? How do I feel when I have interactions with people that aren't just my family, or even with my family? How do I feel when I'm with my friends? How do I feel when I'm with my colleagues? How do I feel when I'm with strangers in the street? Like, how do I feel? One, I'm presenting myself, and two, how does the way that I'm presenting myself make me feel? So ask yourself those questions, and I really hope this video helps someone, or even just makes you feel a little bit less lonely. That is kind of the goal of this channel, is to make you, not just like give you tips and things that have worked for me, but also to just allow you to recognize that no one has their shit together, babe. Nobody's got it together. No one here is perfect. No one's claiming to be perfect either. And if they are a liar. Deception. Disgrace. Evil is pain is the scar on its face. I could do that for a minute. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, besitos!